Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies, and this is Ashmole Elias from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Ashmole Elias, a celebrated antiquary and the author of, among other works, the well-known History of the Order of the Garter, and founder of the Ashmolean Museum at Oxford. He was born at Lichfield in England on the 23rd of May, 1617, and died at London on 18th of May, 1692. He was made a Freemason on the 16th of October, 1646, and gives the following account of his reception in his diary, page 303. 1646, October 16, 4:30 p.m. I was made a Freemason at Warrington in Lancashire, with Colonel Henry Main Waring, of Corin Cam in Cheshire. The names of those that were then of the lodge: Mr. Richard Pencat Warden, Mr. James Collier, Mr. Rich, Sankey, Henry Littleworth, John Elam, Rich, Elam, and Hugh Brewer. In another place he speaks of his attendance at a meeting, diary page 362, and 36 years afterwards makes the following entry: 1682, March 10, about 5 p.m. I received a summons to appear at a lodge to be held the next day at Mason's Hall, London. 11. Accordingly, I went, and about no one were admitted into the Fellowship of Freemasons. Sir William Wilson, Knight, Captain Richard Borthwick, Mr. William Woodman, Mr. William Wise. I was the senior fellow among them, it being 35 years since I was admitted. There was present, besides myself, the fellows, after named, Mr. Thomas Wise, Master of the Masons' Company, this present year, Mr. Thomas Shadbolt, Waynesford, Esquire, Mr. Nicholas Young, Mr. John Shorthoff, Mr. William Hammond, Mr. John Thompson, and Mr. William Stanton. We all dined at the Half Moon Tavern in Cheapside, at a noble dinner prepared at the charge of the new accepted Masons. It is to be regarded that the intention expressed by Ashmole to write a history of Freemasonry was never carried into effect. His laborious research, as evinced in his exhaustive work on the Order of the Garter, would lead us to have expected from his antiquarian pen a record of the origin and early progress of our institution more valuable than any that we now possess. The following remarks on this subject contained in a letter from Dr. Mackey of Christ Church, Oxford, to the publisher of Ashmole's Life, while it enables us to form some estimate of the loss that Masonic literature has suffered, supplies interesting particulars which are worthy of preservation. As to the ancient society of Freemasons, concerning whom you are desirous of knowing what may be known with certainty, I shall only tell you that if our worthy brother E. Ashmole, Esquire, had executed his intended design, our fraternity had been as much obliged to him as the brethren of the most noble order of the Garter. I would not have you surprised at this expression, or think it all too assuming. The sovereigns of that order have not disdained our fellowship, and there have been times when emperors were also Freemasons. What from Mr. E. Ashmole's collection I could gather was, that the report of our society taken rise from a bull granted by the Pope in the reign of Henry III to some Italian architects to travel over all Europe to erect chapels was ill-founded. Such a bull there was, and those architects were Masons, but this bull, in the opinion of the learned Mr. Ashmole, was confirmative only, and did not by any means create our fraternity, or even establish them in this kingdom. But as to the time and manner of that establishment, something I shall relate from the same collections. St. Alban, the proto-martyr of England, established Masonry here, and from his time it flourished, more or less, accordingly as the world went, down to the days of King Athelstan, who, for the sake of his brother Edwin, granted the Masons a charter under our Norman princes. They frequently received extraordinary marks of royal favor. There is no doubt to be made that the skill of Masons, which was always transcended even in the most barbarous times, their wonderful kindness and attachment to others, how different soever in condition, and their inviolable fidelity in keeping religiously their secret, must expose them in ignorant, troublesome, and suspicious times to a vast variety of adventures, according to the different fate of parties and other alterations in government. By the way, I shall note that the Masons were always loyal, which exposed them to great severities when power wore the trappings of justice, and those who committed treason punished true men as traitors. Thus, in the 3rd year of the reign of Henry VI, an act of Parliament was passed to abolish the Society of Masons and to hinder, under grievous penalties, the holding chapters, lodges, or other regular assemblies. Yet this act was afterwards repealed, and even before that, King Henry VI and several of the principal lords of his court became fellows of the craft. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.